Alexa, open the garage.
Okay, opening your garage door.
Alexa, I'm leaving.
Okay, I'm turning off all lights and electronic devices.
Alexa, add coffee to my shopping list.
Coffee added to your shopping list.
Alexa, play my Happy Monday playlist.
Okay, here is your playlist Happy Monday from Amazon Music.
Welcome to Canned Heat, the podcast brought to you by Liger Partners. We are marketing and operations experts, bred for our skills and magic. And each episode of the podcast, we're going to bring you some information, some insight on either marketing or operations. And today, we're going to talk about how to roll out a brand.
Yeah. So rolling out a brand, if you've decided to rebrand your company or yourself or whatever, there's
That's
some.
true. You can rebrand yourself.
Yeah. Well, if you're a thought
Look at
leader,
Madonna.
or Prince. Though I wouldn't really pick a brand that you can't pronounce. That's a problem. Like if you're just a symbol, then people call you the artist formerly known as Prince.
That's
the whole time. That's
Don't
really
be just
hard.
a symbol.
Yeah, but it would be cool to just be like one name. Cher, Madonna,
That is true.
or
Whitney.
yeah,
I'm almost
people
there.
know Whitney Houston. People know
Okay.
that. Yeah. So anyway, so rolling out a brand, there's several things that you need to consider. So one is you potentially want to go through kind of a quiet period with it, meaning that you're using it in ways and kind of starting to represent it, which kind of makes people curious. Some of the stuff that we did when we rolled out the brand is we knew it was going to have this kind of heavy Napoleon Dynamite emphasis. And so over social, you'd see us sharing, something's coming, like making people kind of anticipate it. Because that starts to get you to those number of times somebody needs to see something.
Yeah.
And it makes them pay attention. It's like, what?
What is this?
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's a little mystery.
Yeah.
People like the mystery.
They do.
Unless it's like too
Surprises.
mysterious, which maybe, yeah. So, so starting to give like hints towards it. I've seen companies do hints towards like the colors they might be using, the ways that they're kind of thinking about it. So that's important. So kind of like that quiet period. And it's also a chance for you to test some of those elements out with some of your customers or some of the prospects you're looking at and just see what they think, kind of fine tuning the language, the way that it works. And nowadays it's so hard, honestly, to change a brand out because you've got so many assets that may be out there that you've got to switch. Like you primarily deal with all the social media stuff, like going through.
Yeah. All your digital assets, newsletters, your email signature that you have to think out. But yes, everywhere on social media. We've talked before about websites, and then you think of everything print, like if you've got packages and business cards, all that has to be changed.
Yeah.
Even if you've got like a stockpile of business cards with something old on it, you got to get rid of it. Have to.
Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't do this halfway.
You can't be like, I'm going to wait till I go through these. No, you have to.
And don't give somebody your business card and say, oh, we're in the middle of changing our brand.
Ooh, yeah, don't do that.
No, it's probably better. Well, I don't know if it's better because we could have a whole show about whether or not business cards are a thing.
Yes, we could.
Because there's like two schools of thought around whether or not you have to have a business card or not. So there's kind of the back end infrastructure stuff and building a good plan operationally, marketing operations, to make sure that gets addressed, right? I mean, they're very tied to each other. Like marketing is always,
right.
People think it's this kind of Don Draper, bourbon in the middle of the afternoon kind of thing. And it can be, but most of the time it's about doing the same thing consistently over and over, making sure, everything rolls out. So one piece of rolling out a new brand that's really important that sometimes companies don't do is simply just putting out even a press release. So writing a press release around the new brand, what the impact is, why it was chosen. It's a really good piece to go out that says there's something new and different about the company without it being kind of that typical boring press release. Mm-hmm. When we wrote ours, we played a lot of the Napoleon Dynamite-isms. So there was a lot of, references to it. So it wasn't the typical one.
Yeah.
And press releases just in general from a marketing tactic perspective, not as an overall, it's not a strategy, tactic, are a great way for driving traffic and, increasing your SEO. It gets your name out there in lots of places. You have some websites that just pick them up and some that will pick it up because they're looking for something that's sort of, news or informational.
Yeah, and it's a good first push of this is us, right? This is the new way of life. It is official, and this is the why, right? So like you had talked about how we played on our words. That in itself already gave a glimpse into how we're going to handle things and the new branding, and that speaks across all marketing pieces.
So on the social side, if I'm a company and I have existing social media properties, like what's the advice? Am I rebranding existing properties or am I going to set up new ones?
Yeah. If you have a following that's already built, you can do like we did, which is just change those properties over. And again, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with this kind of soft sell that we talked about, you're already letting your followers know that something's coming, something's about to change.
Well, can you change like the handle or does it have to stay the same?
You can. So our friends at Facebook, we
have friends at Facebook.
They think we are. It's it's really funny because seeing as how they're the ones that get hacked, or at least we hear about them more than all the other accounts. They are trying to give this
facade.
Veil, yes, that they are the most
Facebook facade.
Yeah. But they're trying to give off that they're trying to be
have them every week.
Right, yeah.
Right.
But they're trying to get off this facade that they're trying to protect you. So there's a little bit longer of a process to submit, right? Because they're trying to protect your followers, and they could very well come back and say, we see a change on your page. You need to submit something proving, are you still going to be talking about the same thing?
Okay. Is that true of LinkedIn and Twitter?
No, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, you can go in, changes like magic.
They're like the wild, wild west of social media.
Yes. There's no approval process, nothing that we had to submit. You just go in, change your handle. And typically when you do that across all those places, so like Instagram, Twitter, of course you want to change the page name on LinkedIn, and there's a way under the admin that you can change the public URL. You want to make sure you do that everywhere so that the page is updated and the URL is updated. But you can do that, and it's really quick. The thing that you want to do, of course, as you're picking your name is scope out social media.
Oh, come on. You don't want to pick one that's already out there.
I know. I'd be like, you've already picked a name and you got a logo, and then you go on social media and, oh my God, the handle's already taken.
Right.
So that's a really important step when converting everything. But if you already have a following and people who, it's just like your customers, right? Like You're not necessarily going to go say, okay, we can't do business with all of you because we've changed what our name is.
Yeah.
We've already got a connection. You can do the same thing on social media.
And so we talked sort of formal, right? So I would think that press releases are maybe the most formal way of making that announcement. You talk about kind of changing the digital properties, making sure your website, all those kind of things, and you got to get into your business cards and your collateral and all that. The other thing that you need to do is you need to let your customers know that you've made a change. So you need to send out a nice little letter, just because they may or may not be paying attention to all of your social media. You're not in the process of selling them, so they're not seeing your materials maybe because like they've been around and they know who you are. But sending something out that explains that so the customer understands what that means. And
you want to treat that the same way as you would any other piece that you're going to put out on social media, right? Like maybe not all of your followers are on LinkedIn or Facebook. So you need to be able to communicate the message through social, through a newsletter or an email, all those other places that you mentioned.
Well, and the fun thing about that is that specifically if you've got business development people, a new brand is a reason for you to reach out to your customer without quote unquote trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
And it is a way too, because a brand can get stuck at being known for one thing.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, oh, you do this. Like, I'm going to come to you for this all the time. And so if you're in the middle of rebranding, there's a very good chance that you're doing it because you've got new services, you're trying to see the company viewed in a different way. And that's an opportunity to tell that story, right? To display that message where maybe they haven't listened to it before. Like, you've always done that and they think you do this one thing. I've shared the story before. I had this research company for a long time, and 98% of the work we did was one-on-one qualitative work. And we very rarely did focus groups. And there was one company that used us for focus groups, and they assumed that is all we did was focus groups.
Yeah.
And we could never sell them the one-on-one. And 98% of our business was one-on-ones. And
right.
We were really actually better experts at that than we were the other, but we had been pigeonholed, right? So a brand opportunity, a chance of rolling it out to your customers through the press release, through all these materials, is a chance to tell people we're more than you thought we were.
Yeah, and there's a large chance, as we've seen, that you may catch one of your current clients in that moment that they need this new service that you just brought on.
Right.
And that makes it work out beautifully.
And it also makes it pay back for the investment, because those of you that are on the business side, when you're thinking of a brand, and these numbers switch, but a maintenance year for marketing is going to be, maybe 2/3 of what a year where you're going to have to do a new brand. You're going to spend some money on the right kind of new brand. And we're out of time. So that was canned heat.
And the bomb went off. It's okay, I stopped it. I had it on silent. Come on, Apple.
No,
get it together.
That's okay. All right. Well, we're raw and authentic that way. So there you go. So more tater tots next week.
This is where we come to a closing. So if you are ready to unleash the beast, maybe you're thinking about a rebrand. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, you're talking about all this stuff and I don't even have it to begin with. Then visit us at ligerpartners.com. Of course, subscribe to the podcast, and also be sure to follow us on all of our social media so you can know when we put new podcasts out, watch them, or go to iTunes and listen. We've got a new something for you every week.
Every week, at least.
At least.
Yeah, we're going to try to do a little bit more than that, since we like to create content and educational content. And one thing to that point of Liger Partners, to help you with that branding, it's not enough just to hire an agency that can do branding for you. You have to also know how to roll that out. And because we have an operational slant to everything that we look at, we think about those things. What does this impact mean across the organization?
Yeah.
So specifically, if you don't have a strong marketing organization in place or person, then we can help you make sure that it's not just about branding. It's also about making sure it gets rolled out effectively.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, so till next time.
Oh, and send us your questions on social media. If you've got something that you want us to answer.
A topic you'd like us to cover. Yeah.
Send it in.
The more controversial, the better.